Hello, I'm Haley Hennahan with Littlesleepersanddreamers.com, and I am your pediatric sleep consultant. Have you been struggling with your little one climbing out of their crib? Or maybe you transitioned your child to a big bed and they just keep getting up repeatedly over and over again, and you just want a great night's sleep for yourself as well as your child. In this video, I will give you all the tips and tricks and techniques you can use so that you and your child will have a great night and safe sleep. So before we talk about your child climbing out of their bed repeatedly, let's talk about cribs. So toddlers should be in cribs until they're 3 years old. What? Yes, I know that sounds bizarre. I know you feel like you might hear other parents putting their toddlers in beds much sooner, or maybe you hear the rule, as soon as they climb out, put them in a bed. But honestly, they really must stay in a crib until they are 3 years old. Let me tell you why. So the main reason is because they're just not developmentally mature enough yet. They don't understand boundaries. They're learning them. They just want to do whatever they want to do. So by putting them in a bed and asking them to stay put all night long, it's just not going to work so well. Both child and parents are going to lose sleep. So by keeping them in a crib, it promotes healthy habits of sleep that you are trying to teach your child. And another reason is there can be more injuries in a bed than if your small child, was in a crib. So you really want to keep them in a bed until they are 3 years old. Now, what if you already have your child in a bed? Well, if they're able to sleep in a big bed without any issues, great, keep it up. But chances are, if you're watching this video, you might be having some issues, and it might be time to put them back in their crib. Yes, back in their crib until they are 3 years old. So if they are under 2 and you have transitioned them to a big bed and they are constantly getting up, not sleeping, getting around the house, all sorts of things, it is time to put them back into a crib until they are 3 years old. Now you might say, but my child has climbed out. Let's talk about that a little bit. So what age do kids typically climb out? Well, there's not really an exact age. It often depends on the child's temperament. Are they a risk taker? Do they climb a lot? They are ones that tend to climb out even a lot sooner than you might even think. Children may climb out at nap time for the first time, or it might be at night. There's really no rhyme or reason as to which time a child may choose to climb out for the first time. And there is nothing more startling than waking up at 2 a.m. to see your toddler in your room. Now let's talk about the children that have already started climbing out of their cribs. Now, first and foremost, you want to make sure that their cribs are only for sleeping. Some parents might put their child in their crib to play, or maybe for a punishment as a little timeout where they can't escape. But you need to make sure that their crib is only for sleeping. They need to have a firm understanding that cribs are for sleeping. So make sure that the only thing they are doing is sleeping in their crib. Another thing you want to check is to make sure that they are on the right schedule. Oftentimes, if children are not sleepy, they're not going to be put in their crib and go right to sleep. They're going to find other things to do, and one of those things might be climbing out. So make sure they are on the right schedule, getting the right amount of sleep for their age. If you don't know what that should be for your child, go head down to the description box below. I have a free schedule generator right for you that you can grab and start applying today for your child. So if your child has already learned to climb out of their crib, they're probably going to keep climbing out unless we can outsmart them. First, we want to make sure that the crib mattress is as low as possible. Now, you probably already have it on the lowest setting, but what you can do is actually put the mattress all the way flat on the floor. Now, if your crib and the mattress leave a little gap, that can be a little dangerous. You don't want your child getting caught or pinched in the gap between the mattress and the bottom of the crib. So one thing you can do is buy like a pad that can raise the mattress up. That can often fix that problem because we want your child to be secure in their crib, but also very safe. So make sure if you lower the mattress all the way to the floor that there is no gap. Another thing you can do is look at your crib. Does one side of the crib have higher molding? Does it raise up? A lot of cribs kind of have that arch, and you can flip it around so that when they are looking out at the room, they have a higher arch. And that will help them to stop from climbing over because it's higher. You also want to make sure that there's no furniture around. Some might have a dresser right next to the crib, and they can use that as leverage to get out of the crib by getting onto that dresser. So make sure there's no furniture around. Make sure the crib is secure next to the wall. So if you have it in the corner, you have two walls that they can't climb out of. You have the high molding in the front that they can't climb out of, and they only have that small little edge. And usually that small little edge is a little too short and narrow for them to get over. They usually need that longer side to hop over. Another thing you can do is check their crib. They should not have a ton of stuffed animals and pillows and blankets and all sorts of things, even those crib bumpers, that they can have leverage to get over. So make sure that they only have that 1 or 2 cuddle buddies and a blanket so that they are not using things for leverage to get over. And if you only have a couple and they're still getting over, you might need to take them out for a little bit so they have absolutely nothing in their crib. Another thing you can do is to make sure that they have a sleep sack on. They can have a sleep sack that goes down to the bottom and kind of webs their feet. Okay, so this can keep their feet together in this sack so that they can't break apart and climb over. This is a great way to keep them in their crib. There are also some special pajamas that you can get where it's a full length sleeper, but there's a piece of fabric between the legs that kind of sticks their legs together, again creating that webbed feet kind of thing so that they don't climb over. And one last thing to check, especially if it's nap time or if siblings share a room, make sure that an older sibling is not helping to assist your child out of his or her crib. Okay, you don't want older siblings helping your child get out when they should be staying in their crib. So sometimes the older siblings think they're being helpful, but really they're creating the problem. So I'm curious to know, and I'm sure it'll help others as well, if you had a climber and have found a way to keep them in their cribs, go ahead, write in the comments below what you have done to keep your child in their crib. So while doing all this, we first and foremost need to think of your child's safety. One thing that parents might try to do is put some kind of netting over the crib or just some kind of restraint in the crib so that they are not able to get out, and that is not safe. So do not try to find any sort of netting or restraints for your child. They need to be free in that crib, and they don't need to have that netting over top. So as I said before, once a climber, always a climber, which means you need to be prepared. One thing you can do is you want to get a baby gate set up at their door or a door monkey, something to keep them in their room so that if they do happen to get out, especially at night when you are sleeping, they are not free to roam the house and to get into even more danger. You want to continually monitor them on your baby monitor. One great thing about our baby monitor is we have a motion sensor that we can turn on. We can have it alert us if there is movement across the room. So if our son happens to climb out of his crib, we will get notified at night that there is movement and he is roaming around. Although we want to keep your child in his or her crib as long as possible, if your child is just continually climbing out and not staying put, even with all these tips and tricks, then it is time to move them to a big bed. Go ahead and subscribe and hit that alert bell real quick, because I have another video coming out really shortly that will tell you exactly how to transition your child from a crib to a big bed very smoothly. So if your child is over 3, it's time you can get ready to move them to a big bed. They are old enough to understand boundaries and big enough to not get too hurt in their big bed. Now, if you've noticed, I continually have said big bed. I have not said toddler bed, and there's a reason for that. I believe that children should transition directly from a crib to a big bed. Oftentimes what parents do is they have their crib and they remove that one side and it turns into a toddler bed. But you know what? The children who have been in there are like, oh, this is off of my crib, I can get out now. It gives them more of a reason to hop out of bed than if they were transitioning to a whole separate piece of furniture into their big bed. They wouldn't have that idea as quickly. So say your child is older and they have transitioned to a bigger bed, and now they're just getting up repeatedly, even after 3 years old. What can you do? How can you help them stay in bed? Let me give you a few tips and tricks. So first, you want to make sure they feel secure. You also want to make sure that you are continuing their very same bedtime routine. You don't want to mix things up or change things around. You want them to be comfortable and familiar with how they have been going to bed, even when they were in a crib. This bedtime routine will also meet their needs, so they won't have a reason to get up out of bed. When you do put them in bed for the night, it is very common for parents to say, okay, stay in bed. But guess what? Most toddlers, especially the earlier they've transitioned to a big bed, might not even be thinking that they can get out of bed, especially if it's this brand new piece of furniture, this whole new bed. They might not even think, okay, I can get up now. But you're putting that idea in their mind. So you don't want to tell them to stay in bed, but instead you can prepare them with expectations by using picture cards. Maybe have picture cards that say, I'm going to lay down. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to stay asleep all night. I will get up in the morning. Have these visuals for them so that they know, okay, this is what I do in my big bed. These are the expectations. Now, a lot of parents love that they can give children visuals with something like a hatch clock. A hatch clock is something that has little lights. So you can set the times and the lights, and it might say, when it's blue, it might be like, okay, now it's time to get ready and do our bedtime routine. Okay, now it is red. It's time to get in bed, close our eyes, say goodnight. And then when it is green, that means, oh, it's morning time. I am able to get up and out of bed. Those are some light cues that can help your child, especially before they can read a clock. So this is such a great aid and tool that you can use to help keep your child in bed when it is time to sleep. Another thing you can do is to offer rewards. So if you stay in bed until the light is green, you can have a special little morning cuddle with me, or you can do whatever will get them excited. Okay, so rewarding your child and rewarding them instantly in the morning, not waiting for a week of good behavior, but immediately after they get up and they have stayed in bed, this will really help. If they are getting up and getting out of bed even after you have said goodnight, go ahead, resort back to those sleep training techniques. Get them back into bed. Let them know that no matter what, we are still going to sleep. It is still the same expectations whether you are in a crib or a big bed. If you don't have any sleep training techniques and you would like to sleep train your child and set up a plan, go ahead and email me at littlesleepersanddreamers@gmail.com, and I would love to connect with you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that these tips, tricks, and techniques have really resonated with you and can help your little one get back to having a great night's sleep. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button so that I know that these tips have been helpful. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the alert bell if you have not already, as more videos will be coming your way. I'll see you in the next one. Sweet dreams.